Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Behind the Mic, powered by REVOLT Podcast Network. I'm your host, Wize Grazette, RPN Community Manager and Podcast Enthusiast. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @TheRealWize. And of course, y'all already know what I'm about to ask. Please subscribe to Behind the Mic wherever you get your podcasts. That's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart. I could go on and on and on, but please give us a 5-star rating and a review. That would be really, really, really helpful. Anyway, enough about me. On today's episode, I'm joined by the amazing Cylla Senii. Cylla, welcome to Behind the Mic.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yep, I'm happy to have you here. Now, y'all, me and Cylla know each other from New York days, so yeah. I'm really excited to have her on the podcast. But yes, first and foremost, let the audience know who you are. Give us a little top level. What's up?
Sure. So yes, I am Cylla Senii. I am an actress, writer, producer, and director. And I'm also creator of the Situationships brand, which is also a show and a podcast.
Booked and busy is what I heard. But yes, and really and truly she is. Cylla be all over. You've been a part of some amazing projects. And you have also championed your own. So I really do appreciate you for that and appreciate you coming on the show. So
thank you. Yes, I'm excited.
So let's talk about some tunes real quick before we get into everything. Let's talk about the tunes. So we have this playlist on Spotify called B-Sides Track of the Week, where you can find all of our guests' favorite songs. Now, B-side tracks to me are songs that aren't as popular as A-side tracks, but just as good or better. So, Cylla, what B-side track you want to share with us today and why?
Okay, so I still think it's a hidden gem, still a little bit of a popular artist, but sometimes I have my moments. So this song, this B-side track, I'm going to have to go with Georgia Ways with Quavo, because every once in a while, you just got to bump it in your car and be a little country,
Okay. So you be a little country sometimes.
A little country sometimes. Only on occasion.
Only on occasion. Okay, bet. All right, y'all. You can find that song directly on our playlist, exclusively on Spotify. Just search B-Sides Track of the Week. Now we know a little bit about you in front of the mic. Now let's talk about the person behind the mic. Now in your case, behind the mic and the camera. Let's dive a little deeper in. So yes, tell me a little bit more about even your background. So how we get here.
So I am originally from Queens, New York, Jamaica, Queens. Okay.
What?
Yes. My father is Liberian. My mother is a Chinese Trini. I have a very interesting upbringing. When I was young, we actually moved to Georgia. So I spent a lot of my schooling in Warner Robins, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I was very much giving country bumpkin growing up, but I grew up with with wonderful people. It's a very small town, but it's a military town. So we actually had a lot more diverse people there than you would expect. And the accent was very much no intense accent.
Okay.
Nothing too New York, nothing too Georgia, just in the middle. So yes, growing up, I was always really, really creative. I was always in the drama club and I loved to draw. So I was always very artsy, but I was also very much into school, education. So I was a nerd. I was definitely a nerd. I made straight A's. I made my first B in college and I cried.
Oh.
Yes, that's very sad. Because I grew up in an Afro-Caribbean Black family.
Yeah.
So everything had to be perfect. So even when it came to school and college, I majored in advertising because my dad was like, no, you're not going to major in film. You're not going to major in acting. Get a real job. And so my sister is the rocket scientist of the family because there's always one in an African or Asian family.
A literal rocket scientist?
Yes, quite.
That's crazy. Wow.
Quite literally. So I am also smart like my sister, but I'm more on the creative side. So after that, I went to UGA, went to college, majored in advertising. And then from there, I moved back to New York because I always wanted to be in New York. So because I was like, I don't even know why we left. That wasn't my choice.
Resonating so much right there.
Yes. So then I moved back to New York and I was back with my family back up in New York. And yes, that's kind of like where I started pursuing all of my dreams as far as the acting and the filmmaking while still working in corporate America. And that's where I
Hmm.
came up with my idea of situationships, literally within the first year of moving to New York, and kind of went from there.
So, Cylla, I want to say that I met you through Seriously podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. I want to say
Wow.
that's how I met you.
Shout
So,
out to Seriously.
yeah, shout out to Brittany and Mary.
Yeah.
And you would have came to the podcast studio, my studio at the time, and
Yay.
recorded an episode to talk about situationships, right?
Wow.
Um, so that was a time, a very special time in New York where I feel like web series really had like a stranglehold on the
They
New York
did.
scene for
It
a
was a
minute,
chokehold.
right? It
Yes.
did. It was. But I felt like that was also like such like a prosperous time. So can you talk about, put people back in that time period, especially as for you now would have moved back to New York and been a part of that as well too.
Absolutely. Yes. So, oh my gosh, even in college, like I was watching, the initial web series. So we had Issa Rae's Awkward Black Girl, we had Black and Sexy's Hello Cupid. I was so obsessed and inspired. And I mention it all the time. I absolutely love the work that they've done. And so when I got to New York, I majored in advertising. I did a major in TV and film. And I was just like, I was inspired. I was like, you know what? I have this idea. And, I would talk to my friends and I was like, this should be a show. I was like, Situationships,
Mm-hmm.
that's a show. I believe it. And one day I was just like, I'm going to do it. I had no resources. I had no plan. It was just kind of like stumbling and starting, just beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up meeting my producing partner, Brandon Brathwaite. I ended up meeting Iris Stevens. And Brandon was still at Pace University.
Mm.
And then Iris, I believe she had graduated from Rutgers. And we were
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, we're just gonna band together. We're just gonna start producing this project. And so I wrote the episodes, I did the casting call. We had like thousands of people submit to this casting call, and it was not no real budget, nothing. And so what I found, even like as from an advertiser's perspective, so many people resonated with the topic as far as the
Mm-hmm.
actors submitting. They were either like, oh my gosh, that's me, or I have a
Yeah.
friend who's been through this. I love this. So, and it was so funny because even with the casting call, I will never forget it because I was in New York, and I believe the casting call was on February 15th because on Valentine's Day, it was either on the 15th or 16th. But I went
Uh-huh.
out for Valentine's Day. I went out with my friends all night. And that was the night that I missed my stop on the train 2 times.
Mm.
Fell asleep. One time I fell asleep all the way at the top of the Bronx. And then I was on my way back to Times Square. And I think the stop before I fell asleep again.
Mm.
Woke up on Wall Street. And then took it
This is
back. And I was like, I'm going to stay awake.
I'm crying. This is very much a you story, by the way.
And this was before Ubers and Lyfts,
Mm-hmm.
okay? I was not paying for a taxi, all right? I finally get home at 7 a.m. I take a nap, and then I get back on the train to go to the casting calls.
Mm.
And it was great. It was great. Yes. So that's one of like a real behind the scenes, like I was
Mm-hmm.
exhausted, but it was the
Crying.
start of something new.
Yes.
So yeah, so we ended up shooting season 1 in New York. We put it out on YouTube a year later in 2016. We went viral on YouTube. And then I decided to make season 2. We make season 2 and I make a goal. I'm like, hey, I really want this on a network or streaming platform by the following year. And by the following year, both a streamer and a network said yes. And I ended up putting it on BT.
Yes.
So
Yes. Oh, we got
yeah.
put some hand claps in there. Yes.
Yes. So I was so thrilled. And ever since then, I have developed a full scripted TV show around the brand. We launched the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, and then I'm just continuing to build. But I will say that time period was essential to my growth. It was a huge time in New York where all of these filmmakers we were creating content. We were collaborating. We weren't
Mm-hmm.
caring about how it was going to happen. We just started. And I feel like that's like a
Yeah.
really important takeaway as a creator or creatives out there. Like, just start.
Yeah, for sure. Just,
Mhm.
even saying that, like, as someone who was also like creating at the time period too, and that's how we all ended up being in that same space.
Yeah.
For creatives who are out there, like sometimes it is just that you just need to start. And it's just
Mhm.
that simple, because for us in that time period, it was like a renaissance period for us,
Yeah.
but at the same, and even if y'all are old enough, you can recognize 2016, what was happening around that time. We all really felt like this was the time where we needed to band together to make things happen for our community. So
Right.
yeah, that was just a very special time, honest to God. Very, very
Seriously.
special. But yeah, so one thing I noted here was that you said that Brandon and Iris, of course, were a part of the Situationships web series,
Hmm.
but they also are part of the podcast. So let's talk
Okay.
about that now. Yeah,
Okay.
so you got Situationships Podcast now. Situationships now joined the REVOLT Podcast Network back in January. You
Yeah.
brought on Brandon and Iris to be your co-host. So can you talk about, again, like what it means to, bring everyone forward and have them collaborate on this aspect of situationships as well too?
Absolutely. Yes. I couldn't see this podcast happening without them, one. But yes, the podcast, we had actually been developing it for about 2 years prior to
Mm-hmm.
us finally finding the home with Revolt, which is dope. So we crafted it. We wanted it to be about 30 minutes long. And when I think of, first of all, Iris is hilarious. She knows how to like hold a conversation. She is always on TikTok going off. So like I love that she's on the pod. And then we
Mm-hmm.
definitely needed Brandon's hot takes because we
Yes.
needed a guy to kind of
Yeah.
balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it because I feel like it's a direct way to connect with our audience on a consistent basis, but also
Mm-hmm.
really get into the topics that really relate to people and their relationships today. And I just really love that aspect. And then we bring in special guests as well.
Yeah.
So not only do we talk about relationships and dating, but we'll also weave in like our guest stories and things about their profession, things that they've learned, things that motivates them. So I kind of love that mix of not only just relationships, but you're actually coming and learning from
Mm-hmm.
people in the industry or who are therapists or people who can
Mm-hmm.
really shine light on like relationships today and how we
Mm-hmm.
can grow and be better. Because I do think in this particular era, it's hard even for millennials and especially Gen Z to be authentic when it comes to relationships. So I really,
Yes.
really like that the podcast, we can explore that together. Yeah.
So one final question before we go to our break. That young advertiser that left school, moved back to New York, and decided that you wanted to become all the things that you are today, right? Being
Mhm.
able now to have like this web series that then ended up on BET and now have this podcast as like an additional arm to the Situationships brand itself. What does that mean to you, having come so far?
Oh my gosh. It It is truly fulfilling to have like a vision come to light that you just didn't even know how it would happen. So I feel like for me, like as that advertiser, I feel like I at the time I didn't want to be in advertising. I wanted to be in TV and film. But I feel like it was a full circle moment because without that experience as an advertiser, I wouldn't know how to speak to my audience. I wouldn't know how to
Mm-hmm.
pitch. I wouldn't know how to create a brand. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that was essential to my journey of being in advertising and working at all those agencies and knowing how to reach an audience and really get them to engage and understand what those insights look like and bring that vision to reality. So I feel like it was a huge thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
it means the world to me and to see where it will continue to go over the next few years, like that is truly a part of my purpose, not just my brand as a whole, but to be a storyteller. Even just growing up, always being in the arts or wanting to be an actress or wanting to be a filmmaker, for me, I'm just grateful for the whole journey I'm grateful. Like sometimes things may not work out or you might fail in one aspect, but as long as you never give up, you can still make it happen. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been a journey. It's been an 11-year journey
Yes.
and it's not over yet. But it was truly fulfilling. Like a part of like one of my dreams for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Cylla. Honestly, I feel like, again, I love Behind the Mic because I get an opportunity to learn more about a person and yet another opportunity for that to happen right here on the pod. So yes, on the other side of this break, we're kicking it into overdrive with a rapid fire right after this. And we're back, y'all. Thanks again for sticking around. Now we're kicking it into overdrive with a rapid fire round of Would You Rather. Now, Cylla, are you ready?
Oh, yes. I'm ready.
So all these are themed around movies and TV. You know, I tried to keep it within the web series, space. So yes, cool. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Classic movies or modern movies?
Classic movies.
Action or comedy?
Comedy.
Movie night in or movie theater out?
Movie theater out.
Sci-fi or fantasy?
Sci-fi.
Indie films or blockbuster hits?
Ooh, I might gotta do both.
Both. Okay. So that was really fun. Nice little quick 30 seconds something. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So were there any, for me, I didn't know that you like sci-fi movies, but indie and blockbuster hits, I think that was a surprise to me.
Yeah. Oh, it was a surprise?
Yeah. I figured that you would have liked more indie films than blockbuster hits.
I mean, I love Hitch. I mean, I love all the blockbusters, but I also love indies. So I like a little both.
Okay,
and
that's fair.
I do like sci-fi. I will watch all the Star Wars and all the Star Treks and all the aliens.
Wow. Okay. Now, see, when you said that you were a nerd earlier, I was gonna rebuke it, but
she's
that Star Wars and Star Trek, nah, that's
yeah,
that's right on track. That's right on track.
Fifth Element, I watch it once a year. Like,
oh wow, well that's a classic though. That's a classic.
It is a classic. I love the classics as well. Yeah.
All right. So before we end the episode, what's the one thing you want people to know about you that they wouldn't get from listening to your podcast?
Ooh. Okay. So I do absolutely love music and I love karaoke really bad. And I sing really, really bad. So just know if there's a karaoke night, like I'm going to go off.
I'm screaming. Cylla, now are we doing these sober or are we doing these with a little tequila?
I'm sure tequila will be involved. Typically, yes. And I actually have a note in my phone that has all my favorite karaoke songs. And
wow.
Yes, and my songs are very unique. Like it could start off with Nicki Minaj, Itty Bitty Piggy, and go to Paramore. Okay, so the range is there.
Now, Cylla, when you come to Carefree Black Girl Cookout, Charlotte, I'm going to schedule karaoke. I'm sorry.
Totally.
I didn't know this. Maybe when we come to Brooklyn, I'm gonna make sure to do this because I did not know that. I actually know a spot in New York we could go where they sell far drinks and we get a little room and go crazy.
Please, let's do that because I really love karaoke.
I love, listen, a little Ja Rule and Ashanti, I'll be in there all night, okay? Let's talk about it.
I'm down.
Now, Cylla, for anybody that wants to join you on your next karaoke extravaganza, where can they find you on socials to connect?
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Cylla Senii, which is my name, CYLLASENII.
Okay. You on the TikTok? You on TikTok?
Oh, yes. I'm on TikTok too.
Yes.
Same name.
Same name.
Yes.
Y'all see that? She went to school, y'all. Advertising. Don't play with her, okay?
Listen.
The branding got to be on point.
It's got to be consistent.
All right. Well, first and foremost, Cylla, thank you so much for joining us. This was very fun. And I already knew that was going to happen.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Wize. Like,
Of
this
course.
is gold. Continued success. We're going to take it up. We're going to keep going.
Yes. Thank you so much again. And thank you all, audience, for listening to another episode of Behind the Mic, powered by REVOLT Podcast Network. I'm your host, Wize Grazette, internationally known on the microphone as Wizzy and Wize. You all can find me on Instagram and Twitter, formerly known as X, at The Real Wize, W-I-Z. I will catch you all on the next episode of Behind the Mic. Behind the Mic, powered by REVOLT Podcast Network, is hosted by me, Wize Grazette. Special thanks to the Indie Creative Network and Storytime Studios for editing and producing this podcast.